Just yesterday, I received a letter from Rome, from the Congregation of Oriental Churches, its prefect Claudio Cardinal Gugerati, written on Ash Wednesday, which reached me yesterday through the Apostolic Nunciature. I will forward this through our communications center to all our priests, religious, so that its contents may be made known. But since we are a large gathering of priests, and this is something that concerns Good Friday, I would like to read parts of this letter of the prefect of the Congregation for the Oriental Churches. Just parts of it. The letter says, Pope Francis has never ceased to express his closeness to all those affected by the conflict in the Holy Land, and to cry out to men and women of goodwill, urging them to work for peace and to respect the sanctity of every human person. In recent times, he expressed these words, I am close to all those who are suffering, Palestinians and Israelis. I embrace them in this dark moment, and I pray for them a lot. May the weapons be stopped. They will never lead to peace, and may the conflict not widen. Enough, enough, brothers, enough. This was the Angelus message of the Holy Father on 2nd November last year. The pilgrimage to Jerusalem has a history as ancient as Christianity itself, and not only for Catholics. This is made possible even today by the generous work of the Franciscans of the custody of the Holy Land and the Eastern churches present there. They maintain and animate the holy sites, a living memory of Jesus' steps and actions, a visible testimony of the God who made himself flesh and blood to save us, mud animated by the breath of his Spirit. Thanks to their dedicated work in those places, we continue to pray unceasingly for the whole world. Since its origins, the Church has continuously and passionately cultivated solidarity with the Church of Jerusalem. In the late medieval and modern era, the Supreme Pontiffs intervened several times to promote and regulate the collection for the Holy Land. The collection was last reformed by Pope St. Paul VI in 1974 with his apostolic exhortation, Nobis in Animo. Pope Francis has also often emphasized the importance of this ecclesial gesture. Dear brothers and sisters, this is not merely a pious tradition for a few. Everywhere in the Catholic Church, the faithful have an obligation to offer their contribution to the so-called pontifical collection for the Holy Land, which is collected on Good Friday, or in some regions on another day of the year. We will do the collection again this year, hoping in your particular generosity. And do you know why? Because apart from the custody of the holy places that saw Jesus, there are still Christians living and operating in the Holy Land amid many tragedies and difficulties, often caused by the selfishness of the powerful of this world. Over the centuries, many died as martyrs so as not to see their Christian roots cut off. Their churches are an integral part of the history and the culture of the East. But today, many of them cannot take it anymore and abandon the places where their fathers and mothers prayed and witnessed the gospel. They leave everything and flee because they see no hope, and ravenous wolves divide their spoils. The Christians of Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and many other lands turn to us and ask, help us to spread the sweet aroma of Christ again in the East. I address you so that their cry does not go unheard, and that the Holy Father can support the local churches in finding new ways, opportunities for housing, work, and educational and professional training, so that they may remain and not get lost in the West, a world they don't know, which is so different from their feelings and their way of witnessing to their faith. If they leave their small businesses serving pilgrims who no longer come to Jerusalem and Palestine, the East will lose part of its soul, perhaps forever. Make them feel the solidarity of the church. I express Pope Francis's gratitude to the local churches, to the Franciscans, to the many charity volunteers, true children of peace, witnesses of the Prince of Peace, and also to all of you for your prayer and your contribution for the Holy Land and for all those who dwell there. हांव तुमकां सगल्यांक उलो मारतां. किरीत भाशेन आमचे मागणे हे पोरशे खातीर, उदेंतीचे पोरचे खातीर, for the nations of the East, we know they are suffering, they are dear to us. तांचे खातीर किरीत मागणे ह्या दिसांनी आमी देवाक उबारुया आनी निमाण्या सुंकरारा दीस उदारपणान तांकां आमची मोजत दिवया.